Hello.
Thank you for the raid Creep78, and welcome to your 2 viewers too. Ads are starting, which means it's break time. Thank you for your patience and stream support.
Alrighty then, let's get right to it. Let's see if we can transition this. Good morning, everybody. Sorry that you are stuck in the ads. I will address the raid that came on in and welcome everybody as soon as the ads are over. And apologies for the really weird sound clip that popped in there. It was not meant as a test. That was me grabbing my phone with a digital Stream Deck on it and just palm pressing stuff. So, I mean, if I had a cat, I'd blame the cat, but I don't have a cat, you know? Alrighty. So let's rock and roll this one. I'm just going to double check and see which sounds I've got. Using sounds, where are we going? Okay, default. I'll probably get duplication. Let's try that. Oh, nope, I don't get duplication. Okay. Options. Sounds good. Wow, too many options. Let's go with that. Sure. All right, so we are hanging out in the Dadcraft server today. With a lot of chaos, or not necessarily chaos, but crazy stuff. This one. All right. So welcome on in, Raiders. Thank you very much for dropping in. Oh, still we have an ad break, so I will re-welcome them afterwards. Deep sigh. There we go. Is functional? How functional are you? Kind of, sort of, maybe. Not horrible. Okay, we'll go with it. Let's see, what's this? Maybe. Four, three, two, one, and people should be back. Welcome on in, everybody. Welcome. For those of you who haven't seen me or need a horrible refresher, I am Delenn, and we are playing on the Dadcraft 73 Java server. I have quality of life mods, so that's what we got going there. I cannot leave this stupid kelp farm alone, even though I'm not really using it for anything. So yeah, kind of crazy. And it's too quiet. That's okay. I'm going to pretend that it works. We'll go with that. Does that actually work today? Maybe? Yeah, sort of. We're getting there. All right. So scroll back quickly to see if I missed anybody or missed anything. Nope. We're all good. So if someone... Hello. Hello. Welcome to you. Welcome. Okay, so, welcome, sorry, EG. Now, what would you like to be known as? Because, I mean, we just kind of call you EG, but frankly, it could be all kinds of things. So please do let me know how you would like to be referred to. And if anyone who was hanging out in Creef's stream or Creef himself, if he happens to still be around, would let me know what they are up to, or they were up to today, that would be very, very much appreciated. I'm always curious to know. All right, so today's plan, I will, go down. Down is probably better. we'll end up flying anyways, but got a couple of little errandy things that I thought about doing, and then we have, oops, map. We have some labeling to do. So, wrong map. This one. Daytime, please. There we go. So, this clock needs some banners on it, and
Welcome.
You're lurking while doing dinner prep. Awesome. So, what is for dinner today? If you get the chance. If you don't, and you're just lurking, that's fine too. So we've also got some clouds. I guess we can do a spider webs out this way. And we've got more banners to make for labeling this guy. And then after that, we clear cut some more out this direction. So hopefully we'll be able to make it through some of those things today. You're playing your 43rd hardcore world. Okay, more accurately, what day are you on in your hardcore world there, Creef? Because I am afraid I have not kept track of how long that you've been doing the hardcore worlds and how far you tend to get in each one of them. But we've got, in the meantime, I've got some banners I can put down. And I'm going to need scaffolding. Should be it for now. Chicken wraps. Ooh, yum, yum. Yum. I came back from camp this weekend, scout camp, and our food was pretty good. The scouts did their own cooking, which is nice. And they they had a taco theme weekend. They really didn't want to put in much effort, which I find kind of disappointing, but hey, they ate, you know? Let's see, try to decide, do I want the title on the bottom? And the other thing I need to figure out is what's the middle of the title. So let's see. I was writing this down. When 64, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, 18, 19, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, the S should be the middle. Yep. Hey, EG. Oh, that's not bad. 38's farther than I've ever gotten in a hardcore world. I mean, game days, I shouldn't say that's true, but when I'm playing it seriously and actually trying to put in the effort to do a world, that's farther than I've ever gotten. If I'm just being silly about it and playing the DC crew, then so much is already done by the time I jump on that I made it the entire month, but that's just because I played super cautious. So I seriously respect you. Okay, I think I'm just gonna put the label on the bottom. I think it's probably just easier. So let's see, what have we got? I need the S. Yeah, that'll fine. That'll work. Oops, come on. Keeps wanting to put it, spelling it correctly, which is not quite what I want. Road 42 ended on Sunday. Aw. Bridging over the void. I'm sorry to hear that. That would not be fun. That would end like that. Oops, not there. It's okay. You know, sometimes things make sense at the time, and then we learn that it didn't make sense after the fact. But mistakes can be made too, you know, like nothing's ever perfect. And if it has a charmed life, well, then it tends not to end, right? That's going to look really weird, but that's okay. Gotta do this backwards. See how it looks as we go. Nope, nope, not there. I can't blame you. I mean, if you're at the point where you're bridging in the void, you've probably got um a good bit of work put in at that point. There, let's try that. See what that looks like from back here. Corny, but it might do. And I guess I could spread it out, make it twice as wide. Twice as wide might look better because that looks kind of jammed. Anyway, enough about me. I had a decent camp, so that's what she wrote, I guess. It was one of those weird camps where things things happen. I guess that doesn't make much sense, but oops. Nope, this one. Nope, I can't spell. So it was our permit camp for the year, which basically means that the youth get to learn the rules around how we do things like campfires and stuff like that. And yeah, I think that works better. In terms of like who's in charge and what you can throw in, and I mean it's part of also like the fire lighting part, you know, the basic matching triangles and all that jazz. And so they get that, and then they get their permit. And some kids get it, and some kids actually don't. We had one this year that we, oh, whoops, doesn't look right. We had one this year that we thought we were going to give their fire permit to because they're actually relatively skilled at it and seemed to be fairly helpful and fairly mature about the whole thing. And then they promptly, in front of the scout leaders, went and proved why they don't need it yet. So yeah, that was not that youth's shining moment. But I mean, that particular youth didn't have a whole lot of shining moments that weekend. We had weird things like there's a pond on site where we were working, and the youth managed to drop a power bank for charging their cell phones in the pond. So that was a bit less than optimal, I think. Yeah, the last one looks a little weird when it's stretched out quite so wide, but I think that's actually better. We'll stretch this part as well. Do I need to make another space if I did math right? So yeah, it was kind of weird, but we had a good time overall. We had a pretty good time overall. But little things, well, that's a good question actually. When we talk about what age group I work with. So in Scouts Canada, we have it broken into multi-sections, as many of you would be aware. Makes a lot of sense, right? So it's like I've got a space here. So I need 2 more because I need 1 on each side. So that space would be here, and that, and I think the M goes there. I might be wrong, we'll find out. This one? Well, at least it doesn't look bad so far. So the group that I'm working with now is the 11 to 14-year-olds. I mean, we have one 15-year-old in our group, but that's because he really does not click and connect with the other youth in the next section up. And so it's there's also an attitude of nobody left behind. So really being that if it means the difference between him staying or him quitting, then we will go with having him stay with the younger section, just so that he can continue to enjoy the experience and still be here. Doesn't. We'll have to see how this looks, because I'm not really sure. Okay. Yeah, I guess I can't go higher than that. H. Something's wrong there, because the W should not be quite that high. So I've got to fix it or finish it that way, then see what I've done. Back it out this way and see what we got. Nope, actually that is right. It just feels odd. Okay. So yeah, the 11 to 14-year-olds are the ones that we're doing that with. They also get their knife skills permit, and they get taught about axes and saws, but we haven't had a chance to cover saw this time. Just got busy. And also, most of them are not big enough to be able to properly handle the axes we use. I mean, we teach them about being able to choose the correct size, but there's that. But also, basically what the permit means for us is that doesn't mean they can't do it without a permit. It means that until they have their permit, they must be supervised by someone else with a permit. Oh, I just figured out why it looks weird. Okay, well, there's not much I can do about that. It looks strange on here for me, partly because of the like extra spaces part, but also because the spot where the W and the R on both sides are, that up to that point, it only jumps one block up per row, but that happens to be the spot where it jumps two. So that's why it looks really weird, but it'll do. Yeah. So if I bring the W and the R down, and the H is screwed up because I put it in the wrong spot. It needs to be up by one. Maybe that will help. So yeah, it just means that they need to be supervised doing the activity until they've got their permit. And once they have their permit, then they can just say, yeah, I'm going to go do whatever it is. And we can say, sure, no problem. Or if it comes to being like the fire one, it means that they know enough of the rules about how we operate around the fire pit and stuff so that they can actually be the one in charge of it. So deciding if we need more wood, or if we're having a ceremonial situation, we can ask one of the permitted kids to actually set it up and light it. That looks a little bit better. So that's what that was all about. We had one that, yeah, definitely proved he was not quite ready for the permits, because he, first of all, around the leadership, like adults, was being snotty about the, hey, I'm in charge, I decide when we put more wood on, which is great, but if the person doing it that you were being snotty to happens to be one of the adult leadership, that's not a good sign. I mean, it's fine about to be able to, say, I thought I got my permit, like I'm new at this and that kind of thing, and I'm excited. I can follow that part, but the tone and attitude he was showing when he did that was not acceptable. And then the other piece that got him in hot water was same night, same situation, like 20 minutes later, basically, he decided that he was going to, from his seat, 6 or more feet away from the fire pit, like we all should be in our group size, he's decided from that position, he's going to reach over, grab the nearest log, not caring what size, and not even get off his seat and try and chuck it into the fire pit from there. And it doesn't matter what the fire pit was made of, although that does play in this particular situation, but it doesn't matter what it was made of. He, inappropriately chucked it, and of course it hit the edge and could have knocked off our safety screen, but it also made some chunks pop out of the fire pit, and one of them got really close to someone's foot and stuff. And so it was like, okay, yep, you won't have your permit this camp because you just completely and utterly did something dangerous. So yeah. But he was good at most of the other things. Same kid is just getting watched a little bit with his knife permit, just because one of our rules is that you're not supposed to leave your knife just sitting around, particularly because we have multi-section camps that have multiple different age groups. And in this case, like during the the teaching camp, our scouts are the youngest in attendance for safety purposes. So they're the young ones, but I mean, you learn that you're not supposed to leave your knife around. You know, it could be anyone could get hurt if you left it open, which thankfully this one didn't. But also some of the other younger sections in the past have not hurt themselves, but have a tendency to go, "Ooh, cool," and pick up a knife. And yeah, that could be all kinds of bad news. So thankfully it was not. However, we definitely don't want that sort of thing happening. So this kid think had left his knife sitting there, and someone else picked it up and turned it into a scout leader because I guess this kid gone off to play or something. And yeah, he got told quite clearly that was not okay. But on the bright side for him, when he found out that it had been turned in and he was getting it back, first thing out of his mouth, before he even said thank you, which he did actually say, which was nice, but the first thing out of his mouth was, I guess I better take better care of my stuff. It's like, yeah, it's not just taking care of the item so it doesn't get like wet and rained on. It's also making sure somebody else doesn't pick it up, you know, who shouldn't be having a knife. Yeah, adding, exactly. You've got it, Creef. Part of the training is being able to work responsibly and safely around the fire, right? I mean, there's the usual stuff that people do, you know, talking about various formats for laying out the fire and stuff. And we don't have any prescriptive stuff, but it just gives them a good opportunity to show them that, particularly if we're going to do, I mean, it's not really ceremonial or formal campfire, but we, for a more formal type campfire where we have a structure and stuff, then we tend to show them, okay, when you're doing that, you're most likely going to want, depending on your conditions, like weather conditions, you're most likely going to want a particular setup with we usually do almost like a pyramid shaped log cabin style. And then if you've got the space, sometimes do a bit of a, like if the weather's worse, you'll do a bit more of a teepee shape in the middle, like the triangular stack sort of thing in the middle. And that just gives us a relatively reliable burn. And we talked about how many levels you tend to put in. And the reason we're a little more prescriptive on that one is simply because we, what's the word? Oh, phooey. I'm gonna have to go inking again. The reason we're a little more firm on that one is because we want a relatively predictable length of fire burn. The thing about our formal fires is that we're not supposed to put any extra logs on the fire, nor do you want to have it burn out before you want to end. Well, yeah, that's the other thing, Creef, is all of the fire pit we used at this particular training camp it's a portable one that actually is a little bit off the ground by default, and it's got a double wall with holes at the top and the bottom in such a way that the air cycle will like naturally cycle through the whole thing, which causes a reburn of the ashes. So we actually have fairly little left over. Like there isn't a whole lot of chunks. It's like ash in the bottom, but often not much of that at all. And that works out really, really well. We like that, but trying to decide, do I want this cell phone, do I want black banners or do I want dark gray banners? I think I was just going to put them all on the front edge, like of the display, in terms of like where you would stand if you were looking square at this guy in the face. So I think dark gray banners might work with, I don't think I'll go with white, maybe light gray, as opposed to medium gray, for the writing. But that does mean that we need to do a lot of inking. What I mean by inking is like going and getting more squids. We'll start with that. South, okay. So, yeah, so we want a relatively predictable length burn, but with our portable pit that we used at this camp that's a little bit lighter, it can go on a grassed base. We don't actually have to clear it out. I mean, just to be mowed half decently. But this one, unfortunately, it does get hot. So we can actually have a situation where it has on occasion lit the grass on fire. And last year, when we were doing our knife training, we did it near the fire pit, which is fine. You know, yes, you put your what do you call it, wood shavings and stuff in the pit. Great. It wasn't lit at the time. That's fine. But the owner, well, not the owner, but basically the guy who was managing the property, it's his dad's property, like the person who I'm referring to. When he came by to check on us, he said, "Oh, that's a lot of shavings on the ground. Would you guys mind? I got your rake, and you can just like rake them out and put them in as best you can. Right? It's not gonna be perfect." And so of course we did, but some of our youth thought it was incredibly funny not to separate from the dry grass they also raked up. So we had probably about, I'd say the pit was maybe, oh geez, half a meter across, like about just a little bit less than 2 feet across, and we had it maybe, I don't know, 5 centimeters from the top of the, like, or from the burning holes at the top, so the recycler, which would be, oh geez, what do we think of it? A couple inches, I guess, for the Americans. Nearly packed, like as in, it wasn't just the weight of the grass and the shavings. Some kid decided that they were going to actually stand on it, which we didn't catch in time to tell them that was a stupid idea. So they did insist on lighting it up. I have not seen a fire pit smoke column quite so straight and quite so solid before. It was something new to me anyway. I knew it'd be smoky, but I didn't expect that. And yeah, it was not great. So this year, first thing we did was like, okay, during the planning system, how are we going to catch the shavings so that we don't have them on the ground? And how are we going to catch the shavings so that we don't have to worry about having a grass pit again, because that was not fun. But does this one even have a bed in it? Does not. Okay. Well, that's not useful. Not useful. Does that have a... Nope. That's not good. I thought I had one. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna go get a bed. And I didn't, oh, there it is. I was gonna say I didn't leave one out here, but it just hadn't spawned. So yeah, it was not great, but we have had it catch the ground on fire and had people, oops, I guess. Yeah, have people running around trying to put it out and stuff. It was not ideal. Not ideal. This year was a bit of a wetter year, so it wasn't horrible. It's funny because when we first looked at the weather reports, it said, no rain expected. Yeah, good luck with that. Uh-oh. Where did I leave my... don't want cat food. Where did I leave my... There it is. Ender chest. Leaving a bed behind is not such a big deal, but leaving an ender chest is just a pain in the neck. All right, so we have 19. We're at 55. Ink. We're probably going to need more than that. Now, I did not run it by the DC crew to see if I could put the character's full name in there, so I'm just going to skip part of the sign. I know it's not great, but just I don't think that it's fully 100% family friendly as a character name, so I'm going to leave it out. I will say it, but it's just like, you know, putting Jeremy Hillary Boob, PhD, might be a little bit much. And he also gets referred to as a boob several times, and it's not, like, it's just iffy and I'm being picky about it and so on, but there's no point in doing something silly if you don't need to. Okay. I'm now on the north side? Okay. South side? I don't know. I'm on the side. Okay, we've got, there we go. Need to get far enough away to get some more squid. So yeah, that's the big one. And we actually had a fun time trying to remind the kids that, you know, even if the weather report when you last check it says to there not be any rain, you need to bring rain gear. at least a jacket, but preferably extra socks, and we have them rain trousers or rain pants, to cover up because it's going to be nasty. But also that even if it doesn't say there's going to be any rain, at night when you go to bed, you need to clean up the campsite. Anything that could remotely be ruined by rain and put it away, or at least tuck it under shelter. And they didn't, so we had, as a drive-in camp, the drive to the site camp, we were able to cover it fine, but we had to bring in our own chairs, which are often, fabric. They left some pots out in the rain, that's fine, but then they collect water and nobody notices, and they get put away wet, and then everything rusts, which is not great. So it's just little things like that. We've got some growing to do. Even though it's that age group, they're not all fresh. Most of them, it's first years will be the 11-year-olds, and then the second years is the 12, and so on. And none of them this year coming up from the lower level are new to scouting in general. They just might be new to our age group. So they should. It's just a bit of a less hands-on from the adults than it is when they're younger. So some of the things where they kind of got to rest on their laurels a little bit, they're now being expected to be responsible, and some can handle it and some need a bit of reminders. So we've got a few that were, goofing off because they were at the top of their age group and therefore, really, I shouldn't say really, but fairly good at the skills that we expect at the lower level. So they get used to being disruptive and discussing things and so on. And we just need to get to the point where we can remind them a little more about, hey, you're doing stuff a bit more, I guess a bit more involved, a bit more intense. Knock it off the silliness, at least until all the instructions are done. So it's just that growing thing that we have to deal with, growing pains for everybody. But the other reason we did this one actually is a pre-event. So our next major camp is actually going to be the first weekend in October. And I mentioned this in a little bit last year, quite a lot last year. So we're going back to the Great Escape Camp. Our Great Escape Camp is basically, there's a couple of different things that happen there, but mostly the big event is a themed escape. So it's a night hike is maybe not the right word for it. Scavenger hunt kind of place. No problem. Enjoy your meal. So the Great Escape event, we're going back to this year. It's a multi-group event from all over southern Alberta. And it has 2 age sections involved. So it's our Scout age group, the 11 to 14s, and then our Venturer age group, which would be the 15 to 18 age group, well, 15 to 17 really. And those guys are, I'll get to that in a minute actually, because the major game involving this is there will be a number of stations, usually 5, sometimes 6 stations that need to be found, like checkpoints, I guess. And it's good spots to pause, warm up, grab a snack, that kind of thing. Check in, do minor first aid if you need to, all that sort of jazz. And the youth have to find them in groups after dark. They have to have 2. Our Canadian policy is, we call it 2 deep, but it's 2 adult leaders for every 8 kids at all age levels. And at lower ones, we often have more. I mean, it's nice if you can have more, but our minimums are that. So with each of these team of up to 8 kids, we need 2 leaders, and then they go out after dark to find these. Well, mostly after dark, and you can get released early, or like one of the earlier teams to get released. Then it's frequently not quite yet dark, which gives them a bit of an advantage in one respect to find the stations. But here's the other part. This is based on a World War II event that happened, not super specific to the World War II part of the event, but a World War II event involving escape from I think it was a POW camp, I believe. Anyway, the Allies were escaping from the, I guess for lack of a better term, the German side. So the escape part of it, in this one's they have to find all these checkpoints in the dark before they can return back to home base, I guess. But the pursuers are the older age section adventurers, and they actually have to tag them. Now, for safety purposes, there's not supposed to be any running. There's always arguments every year because both the pursuers and the taggers run. Now, it makes sense that you would want to, right? If you're escaping, that's the idea. But the facility or the location where we're running this event, there are multiple reasons you can't run. One being it's usually a farmer's field of sorts. So you've got, those sorts of things you could step in, like gopher holes or, animal holes or droppings from the cattle that are normally there. Or last year they made a mistake and somehow the farmer whose field we were running around in for the event did not get the memo that he was supposed to clear the field of the cattle. So they had a few spots where you had to be careful to not find and disturb the cattle. So that was interesting in itself. But another reason you're not supposed to run is, as you can imagine, with a lot of large property divisions, they have barbed wire fences. And due to the size of the activity we're running, there's actually situations where the teams are allowed to cross the barbed wire for the barbed wire fences. Therefore, sometimes people forget where the fences are and will go running, and we have had some interesting first aid injuries over the years. Some across the face, one tore up somebody's calf, we had one that actually nearly got hit in the groin. Yeah, there were some interesting ones. So for that reason, they are not allowed to run. We're supposed to have them marked with like the wires and stuff marked every several hundred feet, or I guess some years they say 25 feet, but honestly, can you imagine the number of glow sticks that would take? That's crazy. They said every 100 to 150 feet for the glow stick. Yeah, that never happens, although there's a persistent rumor that is always denied every year, but there's a persistent rumor that there's at least one group that when they encounter a glow stick, takes them down and steals them. We have never been able to prove it, but I think this is my 4th year. In the 4 years I've been there, I would not be surprised because it seems quite consistent in that there are inconsistencies in where you will find the glow sticks and where you won't. And it's not even a consistent distance between them, so it definitely seems like it's when somebody came across the glow stick, they removed it. I understand that they need to go out after the game is over, usually in the morning, and pull all the old glow stick markers down. But yeah, we should. Nope, they did not have that. I guess my Spotify quit and I didn't even realize. So let's go over and kick up some Epidemic Sound mining tunes. Sure, why not? Oops. I have to hit play, not give you more info. There we go. Bit rock music. So anyway, these are some of the reasons why we don't want people running, right? And I'm hoping the weather will be nice this year because, yeah, I totally could. I totally could see that too. Part of it is it's a competition. So the youth get a certain number of points, like the teams get a certain number of points for finding a checkpoint. Basically every youth gets that. Then they also get points based on, how to explain it? They get points based on lack of being tagged. I'm not sure how that math works. There is supposedly a formula that they figured that out related to how many possible people they have out in the field that could be tagging them, and I think it's a 1 point each. So so there's like a max pile, and then if you get tagged, it starts counting down from that. And the venturers, they have the game part where they get points, like it's competitive, but they get points for tagging. And it's not on a per youth basis. It's actually related to like the venture one, it's per youth because they play individually. That way they don't have to buddy up in little groups and so on, because some venture companies will send lots of youth and some venture companies will send one, so some of them only sends scout age youth and not the venture age youth. So we've got a lot of mix there, so that makes it a little challenging. But the venturers are on a per youth basis, but the scouts, it's a certain amount, because if one's tagged, the whole team's tagged. That's just the way it goes, and it also gives the youth teams an incentive to find ways to hide everybody. Now, sometimes you can get away with pulling stunts where the youth group is supposed to stay within, I can't remember what the distance is, but there is a set distance, or max distance, but they're supposed to stay within a max distance of the adult leaders. Of course, that's a safety thing for one thing, but we've set a max distance they're allowed to have because we don't want the adults, who may not necessarily be as nimble as the kids, to be giving away the hiding spots. Now, most of the adults will hide with the youth, but sometimes they won't. And bad knees or whatever, getting up, getting down is harder, etc. Can't fit in the space. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. So we make it so they don't have to be right with the youth. And then there's some that can get a claim that they're on their way back to the youth group, but they got separated from the youth and they know they're just outside the amount. And if that group gets, that'll get flagged. So if that report or that excuse is used far too often, then the group gets told that they get a warning and potentially a penalty for splitting up when they're not supposed to. But you can get away with it a few times because it's legit. It can happen if you're allowed that distance. Okay, that should be 2 and a bit. I'm gonna do whatever. What's the word? Now, where am I? Yeah. I'm gonna try and do a couple more runs just to get whatever happens to be floating on the way back, and then, or on the way back, and then we'll head back to the fort, to the mansion. There we go. And you happen to be in the wrong side. It's to your detriment. Yeah, these ones are floating. These ones are floating. Alright, I don't see any more squid on this side. Close enough. So, yeah, some may not understand the consequences exactly. But that's why that's part of why we have these safety measures. We also have a section of a group of scout leaders. We call them scouters in Canada, just because at the older sections, their job is to be less a leader and more either a coordinator or an enabler, I guess. Where did I put the bed? But yeah, their job is more of those sorts of roles, and the youth are supposed to, within reason, be able to run their own program. And do more of it independently than they would have previously. So that's why we call them scouters rather than scout leaders, because they're doing less of the leadership role. I mean, lead by example stuff maybe, and reminding of rules and things, but not necessarily policing in the same way. They, yes, the leaders are able to be separate. The older sections, the teens, the venturers, because I guess I keep thinking of the scouts less as teens because we've got 11s and 12s. But really, they are preteens and teens. Those guys are, like the older section, the adventurers, are not required to go with leaders. They're allowed to be out on their own, and that's more of the independence factor. And so they very frequently will come up with all kinds of strategies to get the youth. But there's rules for them as well. For example, like that even if it's a different person tagging, so let's say a couple of adventurers met up with one group and they tagged the group, only one of those two would get the tag initially. Then they have to give the group a full, only 30, but a full 30 seconds opportunity to split, like to leave. After dark, they don't have to turn their backs. It's a courtesy. Some of them do play it with a courtesy, but it's not required. So some of them will turn their backs, but it's supposed to be full 30 seconds before anyone can tag the group again. And it's not allowed to be the same youth twice in a row. So this is why most of the above board venturers that aren't being ugly competitive will be, what's the word? Will do, like they'll either go in small groups or they will break up the, what do you call it? They'll break themselves up, and then once they've got a tag, they'll turn and go for a completely different group entirely. Because that keeps it from having certain venturers tagging along with particular groups just to get multiple records. So anyway, where did we go with that one? Okay, let me just get a sign. I have signs in here. And I'm going to put up the name we're aiming for just so that we can use the letters. Caps lock. Caps lock. Jeremy. Hillary. I'm gonna do this one. B. Oh, come on. D. And then. Is it? I think it's this, but I'm not. Oops, not that. This. But I'm not entirely sure. I'll look that one up when we get there. But in any case, where we're going with that, with the tagging thing, is to say that, so because it's competitive, this is why the youth have to keep going, and they're not required to stay out till the game's over. So if a group of scouts or venturers or whatever got wet, cold, hungry, sometimes just tired, they are allowed to end the game early. They just end up being at a disadvantage for doing so. And I'm not sure why I just got black dye. That was kind of silly. Because I forgot to keep
hello
dye
there!
banners. That's okay, lass. No problem. What I'm going to do, though, we tend to have a bad problem with needing to rinse the dye off things. So I'm going to just prep in advance. But on here, do I have bucket handy? I don't have one handy. Just put that there. So what I'm going to do is go grab one from the lava room. Or the furnace room. Welcome on in, lass. Hopefully your day is doing well. I'm ranting about next camp we've got at Scouts. We'll be going on. So we're on our Great Escape camp. Or we'll be going to that one next. And suffice to say that, like it's for a lot of youth, it's sort of the crowning event of their year. Or well, like the best thing they enjoyed about the year. Part of the reason that our group, I'll just lock that one. Part of a reason that our group has, I'm trying to figure out how to put it. Okay, so Canada, was it a year ago or 2 years ago? I can't remember now. It annoyed the heck out of me, so I tried to make a point of not remembering. Oh, wait, can I? I don't think I can dye these. That black? Okay, I don't think I can dye that, but I'll take that anyways. I don't think yeah, if I can't dye them, then these two are kind of useless. So I'll just try one experiment, and then we'll come back. Oh, I don't want black banners, do I? Oops. Okay. Just for curiosity, what happens if I do this? Okay, so it's gray and light gray. I think. This is going to be interesting. Okay. Oh, very epic music. So, can you... Haha, we can't dye things that way. Interesting. Okay. How did we... Alright, so we don't need white banners, so that's clear. For some reason I thought you could dye the water, and I don't recall why I thought that. I mean, I know I've done it in modded, but in modded usually they have such a weird way of doing it that it becomes really obvious. So I guess we're headed back up. I'm going to need my box of sticks. I'll just leave you down here for now. And I guess we'll have to go back up to the top and get some... What's the word? The right wool. Ooh! Do a double check while I'm here, just because that was last week's adventure. Do we have sheep and everything? Okay, here we go. Alright. We have sheep everywhere. Uh-oh. That's not right. I'm not supposed to have two cyan ones. What am I missing? You not... Uh-oh. Well, that's a fix. I can fix it quickly, but it's still a fix that needs to be done. Dang it. It's light blue that I need. I don't see a light blue sheep. Darn it. Light blue is this one here. Okay, you're not going to be eating... Well, you can eat, but you're not going to be trimmed for a bit. Where's it going with this? So I'm trying to think of the story at the same time as I'm thinking about what I'm doing with fixing the sheep. There we go. So at the camps, we actually have a lot of things to remember. So at the camps, we have medical coverage, which is actually off on a youth section. Oh, I was talking about the scouters walking. Right. Okay. Where's the light blue one? It's supposed to be this one. Now where did it mess up? Okay, light blue wool there. So if it's all becoming light blue wool. Right. Then either that guy up there never got sheared, or this cyan one is messed up too. Nope, that's... And how come you two look the same? Okay, I need to... I might just have to dye them both to make sure I've got the correct colors. Okay, but we have leadership who... the adults. Who, walk the field. They call them the League of Nations, right? So they're sort of your safety point. Just that's the reference to the World War II events. Maybe it's just my coloring vision. Maybe that is cyan. Maybe this is light blue. When they're trimmed, they look so similar. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it. And do this. And I'm going to go down. What I'm actually going to do in each of those... Where are they? Oops, pink, red, white, this one, this way. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw in a stick. Okay. Put that in there. Okay. And then I'll put another one in here so that if the sheep add to it, right, because I know it's not a full stack, so if it gets added to it and becomes either closer to or is a full stack, then we know that it was dyed correctly. If it's not the same, then we know it's something got screwed up. Okay, I needed... let's see, I'm going to get replacements later. But for now, let's grab 2 of these. So I'm going to need dark gray and I don't think I need light gray ones, so just 1 box should be fine. Because I'm going to turn this into light gray dye. So I only need a dark gray box of wool for now. We won't need a whole box, but let's just swap it out. It makes it easier. Yeah. So that's why I said gray, dark. See, I wish it would actually have 2 different references. So that'll be the color of the banners, and I think I like that for the platter of the record that we have. And then this is light gray, so yeah, that'll be basically the contrasting color. It's not really contrasting, but it does. Okay, let's see. There's enough in these. I might just take what's there rather than fussing with swapping it and then de-swapping it and all that jazz. Come on, you. So the League of Nations ones are kind of our safety points. They're the ones that'll wander around with radios and such, so if something goes wrong. We may have a couple, depending how many we have available, we may have a couple medical teams that actually rove as well, although almost all of the youth present will have first aid kits available to them, and every group going usually has at least one of the scout leaders trained in first aid, beyond just like your super quick city thing. Our group tends to choose to have more than one that comes with that's trained in wilderness first aid. And we've got some interesting word, it's a thing. Interesting preferences, I guess. Do I have extra craft tables here? I know I've got one in the toolbox, but I don't really want to dig that out. Dark? Let's go dark. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I just lost my train of thought, but that's okay. It wasn't important. Yeah, it's kind of weird how that worked out. Anyway, so the kids look forward to this one because a few years ago, Scouts Canada changed our, I guess, financial structure. It's probably the best way of putting it. Meaning that they changed the financial part of the year, so we now pay for January to December. But the scouting year, in terms of the program, goes September to the end of August. It's about as dumb as you can have. However, the notion was that September to the end of August is kind of based like a school grade year, whereas the financial year is a financial year. It sounds dumb. Two major reasons they gave for it is one, then everybody and their dog is paying for school fees and uniforms and books and whatever. School starting September can be super expensive. But when it comes to scouting, like they wanted to make that not hit at the same time. There's also camps and things in the weather that tend to they have separate fees and stuff like that. So they didn't want the base part paid then. The other logic was that if they ran the financial year from September to end of August, what actually happens is you get families that their kid, I guess you'd say, ages up from the previous year or previous age level, and they don't come back, or they finish that year and don't come back the following year, right? And so we had a good amount of drop off. So what Scouts Canada chose to do was to have it be so that the scouting year is paid for January to December. It's a pain in the neck for the leadership, for the adults, for the first, what's the word? Like trying to start everybody in September, because then you have to take the risk you're going to have a batch of kids that are starting in January again, right? That does happen, and it's very annoying, but what can you do? Okay, I'm gonna do it this way then. MasterCard, sorry. The song distracted me. Wow, not good. There we go. So anyways, we've got a bunch of kids ready to go, right, in September. But by paying,
Ads are starting, which means it's break time. Thank you for your patience and stream support.
all right. We will take the break we usually take, but just finishing that sentence is by going from January to December, we don't have the concern of as many kids not coming to the next level, because the idea is you're paid for the first few months of that year. So kids will be more willing, and parents will often be more willing to be like, well, the first few months is paid for. Let's try it out and see what our kids think. Let's see how it goes. So that works fairly well. Yeah. Go. Be right back. Time for words on stream break. So we're gonna keep that part of the truck rolling as normal. But that's the notion. What we've found, unfortunately, is that some kids instead will actually come for the first camp, maybe the first couple of camps, go to something like Great Escape, and then they're done. And their attitude is right royally a pain in the neck when we're trying to teach the ones that do want to be there. So I almost don't want those ones to go to the Great Escape event. What can you do, Ooh. So I mean, when they're going to these events, it's a really good adventure for them, and for some of the ones that get fairly serious about it, they like the challenge of being able to do some of their tracking work and compass work and whatever after dark. And it's really not a huge part of it, because you don't really have coordinates and stuff to work with in a big way. The maps aren't super accurate, because the notion being, when the event happened that it was based on, the notion that it was based on was, escaping these, and they didn't have a lot of great equipment, a bunch of stuff just be stopping and making themselves a floating water compass or something. Like, they didn't have that, so we're allowed a lot of modern gear, but not that. There are limits to what gear you're allowed to use. For example, flashlights are very, very limited. We don't tend to let them use them much at all. If you have to, you can, but they don't use a lot because, of course, it's going to give away your position. Ooh, well, we didn't make it this time. That's probably because I talked my ear off. Talked your ear off. Okay, let's try it. See if we can do a continue. Restart. Oh, well, that was long enough for the ads, but let's finish this one and then we'll get out of here. So anyway, we've got some groups that take it quite seriously. Everything from, being unruly, and some scout leaders, adults, that try to pull rank, and when they get tagged, when the youth get tagged by adventurers coming through, some of these scout leaders will be like, no, you are not allowed to have this tag, and they don't have good reason. What I mean by good reason being, if the youth are not putting in any effort whatsoever to avoid being tagged and just walking along and don't care, that's often because they've given up. They are done for the night. They are cold, they are wet, they are unhappy, and they don't want to be tagged. All they want to do is just get straight back to their camp. But then there's other ones who are very, 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 very harshly competitive, and so they will try and deny adventurers their tags so that their scout group can have the points resulting from not getting tagged. So that's dishonest, but it happens. We also get some that are fair. Let's see. Don't think that's a word. We'll get a few that will take the game seriously, and play it fun and honest. But they get as far as making or bringing their own ghillie suits. So for those of you that are wondering just briefly what a ghillie suit is, I'm not going to get into big detail, but basically it's camouflage, right? It'll be a leaf net or grass shape or whatever. And other ones, most of them tend to just try and dress in colors that will match enough that they don't get seen as easily. Yes, ghillie suits. Exactly. So they try and hide. The other thing I find fun about that, though, is some of the adventurers will do the same. And that's one I find amusing, is when you see... So, earlier in the day, they'll show off a little bit, which is kind of silly, because then it's not a surprise. But when they show off... when they show off their suit, it's really funny because you'll find that they'll have venturers that you don't see them until your scout group almost trips across them. Then they'll pop up and tag. So I like that part of it. It's kind of neat. The venturers are, because they're the searchers, not the hiders, they actually are allowed to use their flashlights, but most of them don't, because of course that gives away where they are. So it's an interesting mix. But the youth are also somewhat realistically tired by that point, like by the time the game even starts, because there's a whole day full of various station activities before that. I mean, everything from large games of Jenga, stacking things, to group teamwork challenges, to climbing, to building structures, lashings and stuff. So there's a whole bunch of different stations they do during the day with their same patrol. They're going to be working in the evening, or like in the night, I guess. So they're artificially tired in a way. We don't intend to, make them unsafe when they go out, and some of them will crash out, skip the last station or two, and force themselves a nap. Doesn't always work. Most groups don't even bother, but teens are teens, But there is a cutoff for check-ins to say your group is on site, and that's just to prevent groups from avoiding or sending just the minimum required to run a station on their group's behalf during the day, and then showing up in time for the event, because that gives them an unfair energy advantage. No. So we ran ourselves this permit camp. We're doing stuff during the day, much more lax. But then in the evening, we broke our kids up into very small groups. I think they had 4 in most of them. The one became 5 because the rest of this team decided they were done. But we ran a mini Great Escape. So our adventurers set up some checkpoints on the private property we were camping on. And then we had similar boundaries and similar instructions you're not supposed to run, yada, yada, yada. All that kind of stuff. And in this one, in the private property, we don't mark the fences. Most of the boundaries are fairly obvious boundaries we use, like a road, like a unpaved road or a creek or something like that. So I mean, most of those are pretty obvious. There is one spot that's got barbed wire on it, but that tends to be mostly on the camp spot that's generally out of bounds for the game anyways. So that works out well. But that allows them to, in the test version, to use glow sticks, whereas the real station is actually bigger than that. It's not just a glow stick on a tree. The real game actually has a station with, like, volunteer scout leaders sitting there with a campfire pit, and maybe there'll be some activities. There might be a snack or two, or at least a place to sit, and that's considered like a safe spot. but they will kick you out if you've been there too long, or if too many groups are at the same station all at once, they'll kick them out. Ah, perfect. Excellent. We got a good, perfect level. Yay! And I wasn't involved. That's even better. Up next, level 8. All right. Let's continue. Yeah. And in our practice one, we don't send them out with scout leaders. And that's also partly so that they don't cheat, but also that they get used to working with the team and not worrying about whether or not leadership is hiding as well, or the adults. Keep calling them leaders, but we mean adults in that case. Ooh. Oh, the S might be fake. Okay. So yeah, I guess that's the mini great escape we had, and the way the stations work, there's, as I said, there's always several. Then there's a hidden one. Now they used to have the hidden one roving, as in it would be a leader who's well lit up, and they just walk the field. But too many of the groups complained that the quote unquote hidden one was too hard to find or too much on the move. So they just have them planted now, but that one's not marked on any of the maps, and it's not announced, any location tips or whatever it is, and it's one that nobody is told in advance. Well, I mean, the person who sets it up has to tell for safety reasons, but that's about it. So, in our test one, we did it instead by a riddle. So each of the 3 groups we set out had a portion of the riddle on the back of their map, and then 3 groups had to get together to share their riddle and figure it out. And the idea would be either first group to figure it out would just go find the station, or it would be that all of them would figure it out and they work together. Okay. Hey B, how are you doing? Welcome on in. Level 8, not bad. So last takes the cake this time. Very focused. Very good at the words today. And Fox is coming in hot. And I got lucky with a couple of the big words. And Liv did, or E.G. Liv, I never know, did a great job cutting on the board there. Alright, so we'll get back to the live game, maybe. Huh, interesting. So some of my buttons are working and some of them are not. That's okay. It says server restart in 5 minutes, so it shouldn't take long. And at the rate I'm blathering on, we won't need to forcefully run a break at that point. Where am I here? Okay, banners. And you know what? I put the sign up on the other side. What a doofus. Put a sign up to know what I was aiming for banners, and then I left it where I wasn't even building banners. Duh. I just say both when I get myself confused. And you probably are aware why we don't just use live, but I mean, if you wanted to, we could. Okay, so this is... No problem, B. Anytime. Okay, Jeremy Hillary. I think that's what it B. I think that's it. People who actually know about degrees should probably correct me, because I'm pretty sure that's it. And I don't know if the D is supposed to have a period behind it or not. That's what we're aiming for. And so we have a few repeat letters here, right? A few more than the last time. So let's see if we can get some of these done. I'm going to use cheaters instructions, just because it makes life a lot easier. But if I can figure out where I put it, that would help. Huh. Okay, that's... yeah. My bookmarks got all screwed up because the... what do you call it? Can't remember the word now. Yeah, the browsers, there we go, the browser programs I'm using, because they're supposed to be cross-platform, but they don't cross very nicely from desktop to mobile. And not even from mobile to mobile. And then what they sync to is a backup. The mobiles sync differently than the desktop one does. So I have like 7 different folders that say scouting, and half of them are duplicate bookmarks. And when you copy one bunch of bookmarks into the other, they don't recognize which ones are duplicates because there's I guess there's metadata or something that's different. So then I end up with like 20 versions of the same thing, but then if I just delete them willy-nilly, I miss some of the ones I really wanted. Okay, where is... that's a folder, that's a folder. Do I have... like, I can't even find the ones just gaming and Minecraft. It's not... I have a Minecraft one, but it's empty because it's not the right one. Okay, fine, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Minecraft banner letters. And I had a good picture the other day that was showing me most of them. Okay, well, let's go this way. We'll start with somewhat in the order, and then we'll just do the duplicates as we run into them. Because I think there's supposed to be a way to copy banners, and I have never done it, so we'll figure that one out as we go. Yeah, as much as I would love to have curved letters where we can, this doesn't always work. Okay, let's refresh. So I'm just looking on a screen to my left because I have 3 monitors and trying to find a J that looks half decent. Banners, banners, banners. Okay. Do this step, then do this step. Okay, it's great, but your instructions are so convoluted. All right. Let's get back into it. And I'll probably go on at length about the same thing, and we'll have a separate story later on, I suppose. Okay. So we're going to start with this, and I'm going to need gray dye. That doesn't look right, gray dye, gray banners, so I think I need to go and get some bone meal and make some proper white ones. Start with 1 just to make sure it's the right color. Oop, wrong. Wrong. Yeah, that's better. Gray on gray would probably work, but I think light gray on gray would look better. Not as stark as the white on gray as well. Okay, so let's do half of these. Brains. Apparently a little bit short. Okay, we've got 32, so let's start with that. Oh, and I will need dark ones as well, actually, because I have to make the banners gray again. Aha, ha, I have to think about this. Thinking. Ooh. Yeah, we can make gray. Easy peasy. Okay. So for the J, of course, you need your banner to start, right? Clear as mud. And what's the one I usually use? So I have to go get a banner pattern at some point, but I have to remember which one is which. Okay, so I want this. And then... why are we doing that? Sometimes I don't understand why they want you to do what they want you to do. Oh, I see. Okay. Never mind. I was trying to figure out why did they want me to then put the cover back on, and now I get it. Huh? Nope, not that one. This one. Nope, not that one either. It is the halves. This one? Nope. This one. There we go. Okay. Hello? This one. Banner. And then I want... Some of these I can figure out on my own, so it just takes a little bit of brain to do it. I don't normally like doing banners. I find that I personally think I'm not very good at them. But, you know, sometimes you need to do what you need to do, right? This, that, and then I need the dark one to put on the frame. That. Yeah, there we go. So it's a sans serif. Okay. J. We'll see. I think so. So for those of you who run it on Eastern time, I think it'll be 2 p.m. Usually we go noon to 2 Eastern time. Or I'm in Mountain Zone, so that's where the question's coming from Fantastic Sherlock Fox. And that way we don't have everything done at once. If we get there, great. If we don't, great. Okay, so what I'm going to need to do... I could spell it out. Do I have... Actually, okay, let's do it as a shulker, because then I can pick it up. I dumped the banners in the barrel before, which worked, but I think that there's a shulker this time. Then picking it up will be a little easier afterwards. It will be 11 at that point. Oh, you're Pacific? You're Pacific there, B? Okay, so we got J, we have 2 E's, and so I get the joy of figuring out how to duplicate. Yeah, okay, that's cool. So this one should be fairly straightforward. Let's see if we can figure as many of them out as we can ourselves. That'd be great. Because it just feels more... Accomplished isn't the word, but I guess I might as well say that because it works well enough. Okay, so J, this should be... gonna want to cut part of it off, so let's start with that. So this, and then that one to do. Let's see, how much do I want? E. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, then we want the top. Oh, that's huge. Huh. Okay, well, that's fine. And the bottom. And the left-hand side. And then we need the frame. Yeah, that's good. So we need 2 of these. So how do I dupe these? Oh, that's simple? Really? Okay. I didn't know that. So we got J-E, right? I wish we could do strike-throughs on this. I don't even know how to change the numbers, or like the colors. So J-E, there's 2 E's. There's 2 R's. Okay, so we've got R's to come next. R's are a pain in the neck. I did these the other day and they were not fun. So, trying to figure out which. The difficulty with R's is there's a few different designs that look fantastic, but they're not doable on the loom. Especially not recently. I think they've dropped it down by 1 in terms of how many steps you're allowed to have, and I can't remember which version I liked. And I have to count up the one I was looking at to see if that has too many steps. So 1, 2, 3, 6. I don't know if I can do 6. I think I can. Let's try 6, because this one's not bad. Okay, so let's go this way. And then the other thing is I'm looking at a pattern that has black on yellow, so my brain has to try and figure out which one's which. Okay, we need this one and upper half. And then back to the base color. Where's the diamond? This one. It looks weird. Call this a yellow lozenge. Well, okay, it's a lozenge, not yellow, but you got it. Then we need go this way again. What are they calling that? The fess. Huh. That's not what I'm looking for. But it's the line I want. Okay, fine. That's weird. Oh. Whoops, I got the wrong color. That would explain a lot. You know, I might do this backwards. Shoot, I did it backwards. Darn it. Okay, well, we'll wash that in a minute. Let's start again. Okay, so if the... You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something really dumb. It's silly, but it's going to work for me, at least. So this way, I need one of those. So then, that's junk. Clean that up later. Okay, so if yellow is... on my background is dark gray. That'll work. Let's leave these over here for now. Okay, and then the other color is black. There. That's weird, but hopefully it will make sense. Hopefully it will make sense. Let's try this again. So, boop, boop. Okay. Okay, so I need gray, this one, and I need the top half. That one. It's backwards to what we did before, automatically, so that's good. And then, I need this one for that. That looks better already. All right. That makes more sense. Okay, so that one, then we're back to this color, the horizontal line, so we're getting the center of the R, sort of. This one I find hard, to be honest, so I'm glad I can just dupe it rather than have to make it twice. Okay, and then this one. And that one. And then we can put the frame on. Nice. Frame. There's an R. That's not bad. Actually, I like that one. Okay, so then we can dupe this. There. One. Right. So we've got J-E-R-E. Yep, done. So now we're on to the M. G-E-R-E-M-Y-H-I-L-L-A-R-Y. There we go. Okay. It's M's. M's should be really straightforward. You know, they usually are. Haha. Sorry. Unintentional. Shush. Okay, we've got fairly standard base, and then, yeah, this one, I'm pretty sure I can wing it, but we'll go with the flow. Okay, so we need, let's go with this one. Is that what I want? I might have it backwards again, we'll see. Oh, yeah, I missed something. Okay, I said I was going to need a another pattern, so I'm just going to go get that out of the box. Keep putting them back. So yeah, this part's grindy, but it's quite useful. Let's get field. Let's move this one to flower charge in the corner because I generally don't need that. I don't need this one, but at least it's round and round and the thing and the thing and the thing and the thing. Yeah, whatever that means. Oh boy. So it's grindy, but you know, while you're trying to do it, it's like when people are trying to count numbers for circles or any other shape where they have to count, then they need to have access, I guess you could say, to all the right parts. It's not the one I want. I don't need this. Is it this one? Yeah, that's the one. That. Then I put the 2 light ones down the side. That should be the trick. Put that. And that. There's your M. And then I just put on the frame. Yay! Okay, so we've got Jerem. Now the Y. Sometimes I ask myself the very same thing. Why? Okay. Now this one, I did some the other day and I didn't like them, but maybe I'll go with it. Consistency in fonts. Yeah. Because there's other options doing it and I don't like the way the other ones look. Try that one. It's the same thing, really. Sometimes they have a skinnier set of instructions, like skinnier leg to it than the others. Okay, so we're going to start with that, and then we're going to go with white, and get ourselves an X. And then what do I want? I want a dark one. So I have to make part of that X go away. Let's try. I'm kind of winging it a bit. So we'll see. Does that do it? Ooh. Ooh, I can make it super skinny. Huh. That's not what I expected. Sure. Actually, I don't think I want it super skinny, but it'll do what I need. So this one, and then light gray, that, and then we'll put the frame on. No, that's fine. You're totally welcome to be loud, to be quiet, whatever works for you. That's okay. Those Y's are a little weird, but I think it'll have to do. So H-I-L-L-A. Yeah. So I have an H. H's are easy. H's are easy. So of course it's 1, 2. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, the eyes. I could just do a basic one, but I think I'll do something with serifs. So let's go with this. Oh, skinny or thick line. Let's go with a thick one. Question is, how thick do I want it? Nah. Let's just go classic. It's easier that way. Get this one. Top. And bottom. And frame it. Which, I was just about to say I couldn't do, but no, it's gonna work. Right. You need 2 L's and an A. So once again, L's are dead simple. This one. Interesting music. I'm not sure what this is from. A's. Oh, A's are not fun for me. No, I don't like that type. What did I do? Oh, actually, I was gonna say, what did I do in the last one? Well, the last one doesn't have an A. So that would explain a lot. You know, there's some very square options. I'm kind of curious. I'm sorry, the super epic music when I'm doing a banner is kind of chill. Kind of silly, so let's see if I can skip that one. There we go. Bit better, not great, but bit better. Okay, so we can go like that. And then we had, that's a dent downwards. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Ooh, what if I put that one on it? Okay. Might be able to get something interesting here. Okay, light blue. If I do this, I want the lighter color there, so not the darker one. But how does that fit with an A? I'm just sort of picturing in my head how this works, and it might not. Maybe? Unlikely. I think I'm gonna have too many steps. And also I'm having trouble in my head reversing, which is not working well. Okay. I think I need to go... Let's try it with this one. And then let's go dark with this one. Oh, no, this isn't gonna work because yeah. That's not gonna work. Because if I put that one down on the bottom, right, we got the wrong colors. Looking cool so far, but no. Okay, well, that's fine. So we'll just grab this puppy and we'll say goodbye to that one. All right, we'll go with the square variety. Okay. So let's see, let's find a nice A. Ha ha ha. Sorry. The first thing, when you search for an A this time, and rather than like instructions on how to do it on the Minecraft Loom, the first like 4 hits all came up with instructions on how to crochet one. That's not helping anybody. Okay, well, we'll just do it. It's basically a P without extra bits. Okay, let's just wing it. We've got light gray. Let's do top, left side, right side. I did it wrong already. Not useful, no. Exactly. Crochet options would not work too well. Okay, well that's not helping. I was just about to wing it, and then I did it backwards. So I'm missing the bit that cuts up higher. I can probably use a P, like a letter P for it, because it's not easily showing me the letter A. Silly instructions, that's fine, we'll just use the P. It'll work. Hello? Alright, So one more time. Okay, banner. So we need this one, we know that one. And I guess we do want the top. Oh, I thought that was a half. Yes, I could have done this. This is exactly what I was doing. Grr. Okay, well now I have to stop them out of that color. 1, 2. Black. Gray. We have to make some more, but let's just get this
Fantastic
one over.
Sherlock Fox says, 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Delenn.
Perfect. Perfect. And that one, I forgot to get it to mute the other sound. See? There's the A. I was one step away and didn't trust myself. Okay. H-I-L-L-A-R-Y. See, Jeremy Hillary. So even if we stop there, we're pretty good. Right? So, do I have a B that looks any good? Can I get the last part done? Can I? I mean, B's are easy with an 8 shape, but I'd rather not. Something that's a little rounded on the side might be nice. Ooh! I wonder if I can do that. There's a YouTube video, that's not what I want. Okay, they look kind of dopey, but let's go with it. Yeah, they all look a little bit dopey, but I think this is gonna work. Where is... So I have to do one of them, right? So it's not gonna be a big deal. Oh, what I want to do is not craftable. The reason for it is there's too many steps. Okay, well, rather than having you guys sit here, let's just do a basic one. And we'll see what we can do with it. Okay. Creative mode, okay. Look good. Alright, so the default part, uh-oh. So do you see who I see? That's not good. So we need a bunch more white. Let's just take these and make 26 of them, because we can. Oops, not that. Okay, and then we'll make a bunch of those. Okay, so, right, we were dealing with this one. I want to get the B, because dots and stuff is easy, right? So we've got this one, and this one, and that one, and that one. You can see where I'm going with this one, right? Now, I could do this, which just gives us, oops, let me show you. That. But I don't think it's going to look very good. I'm running out of slots, right? So this banner already has 5, and I only get 1 more step, really. Well, 2 more steps, but I wouldn't get enough to be able to get the whole frame on. So let's pull this out and do the basic that we're used to. That one. And put the frame on. And that's all it's going to really allow me, because I couldn't actually do anything else. See, it won't even show me any plans or any patterns or anything. So that's when you know your banner's capped out. B. And we know the P is dead simple. And those of you with a PhD, or aware of PhDs, how is it done? What is it? Is it capitalized or lowercase? It PhD or... Okay, capital, small, capital. Okay, so I did have it right on the banner. Or on the sign. Yeah, so the H does need to be done differently, but that's okay. And then the D is another one of those ones that could look like a B if I'm not careful. But if I get a rounded D, that would be nice. I think I like... I saw a great one, and then I'm like, oh, it's a TikTok. That's no good. I think I know what I can do with that. Okay, so let's try that one. So D, we're going to go with a... let's go with the left. Oh, I'm just trying to think of which order. Might have actually been better to have a white or a light gray banner for this one. Yeah. Okay, we'll try it. Let's go here and we'll start with the diamond. And then I will throw on circle. Well, that makes no difference. Okay. I'm going to throw on top. Oh, I got it reversed again. Dang it. Yeah, I got it reversed again. Ooh. Okay, let's just take this one and drip it. So I have to start with a light colored banner on this one. Just to throw everything off, right? Gray banner. Can I do it without that? I cannot. Okay, well, we'll see if I can get enough colors to let me. Okay, so we're gonna go with the white, light color, and the trying to think about this one. Because if we do the top and the bottom and throw a diamond in the middle afterwards, that might look kind of dopey, but I'll do it anyways. Where's the bottom? This one. And then I'm going to make it dark around the edge. So that diamond there. Yeah, I did it a little backwards. Ooh. Let's do this. Okay, so we need the top and the bottom and the right hand side, and then the diamond, and then the vertical like that, and then we'll throw the frame on the outside. I'm not a huge fan. Not a huge fan of that at all. Okay, well, that one, if I did it as a circle, is it any better? Yeah, the circle would have worked better. Okay. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Okay, so we've got top and bottom and right hand side and circle. I see we're just over time. I caught it. And this one, oop, not that one. Circle. Yeah, that's what I want. It's definitely what I want. So this one, and then we want the light one for that side. And then I'll throw the frame around. Boom. Okay, so that's better, I think. That's sort of a closed one. BPHD. All right. It's not ideal, but it'll do. Okay, so I will play with the other ones off camera, but let's see who's live at the moment. Because we just have a few other ones that are stupid easy, so we'll do that, and then we can get them installed and get into clear cutting and potentially laying down the next art piece. It's just going to be another... Oops, while I let that piece load in, the next one is going to be... So it's like this sort of thing, and we're going to do it down here, except it's going to be the Beatles again in their actual Sgt. Pepper outfits. So the band things with the curvy things. That's the hope, if I can get a good picture that'll turn into a pixel art decently. So let's find someone to raid, and thank you very much, B, for dropping by. If anyone has any suggestions of where they would prefer to go, I am all ears. Otherwise, I will pick one. What have we got? Sorry, I glanced at the title from one of the other channels I follow, and it was a little amusing. Yeah, that's the plan. I just didn't spot her initially. Aha, yes. For sure. For sure and for certain. So we're headed off to Wolfen. I'm amused, though, because her tags include the ones that show up on the page. English, ray gun, and Minecraft. Like, what? Ray gun? She's been up for about an hour and a half, but I think that she tends to run at least 2, so our turn to raid her, because she raided us last week. So let's start that raid off to the amazing Wolfen. Oh, there we go. So we've been making a mess. We've got some of it. And let's get the party started.
Mischief managed.
Mischief has indeed been managed. It managed us. So for those of you who have not followed Wolfen, you totally should. Definitely give her our best. For those of you that like emotes, they are there in the stream. Tomorrow is puzzle day again, so we're going back to Quern. And then on Thursday, we'll be back at banners and chopping and all that stuff on this server. Thank you very, very much to Creef for the raid today. Also, thank you to Fantastic Sherlock Fox for being a moderator. We had good chat from them, as well as Creef and EG and Lass and B Silver B. And we are off to see Delenn. Delenn? Jeez. We're off to see Wolfen from Delenn. Hopefully you guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye for now.
Transfer complete.